Hello and welcome to Firearm Freedom. This is going to be another First Impressions video. In today's First Impressions video, we are taking a look at the Streamlight Sidewinder Stalk. Before we get this video started, there are links down in the description below. Those links help support everything that I do here on the channel. If you want to support the channel, the very best way to do that is to check out the first link in the description. That is to the Firearm Freedom merchandise store. I have a lot of t-shirts available over there, a lot of designs that I am very proud of. I've made each and every one of those and I'm really loving them. I wear them all the time and I appreciate you guys repping the brand. If you want to make sure you're not being censored out of existence here on YouTube, comment down below this video, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. That stuff should make sure that these videos actually wind up in your feed, and I do appreciate the support. I have been meaning to do this video on the Sidewinder Stalk for quite some time. This is going to be an interesting helmet light. Full disclosure, what is my relationship with Streamlight? They did send me this light to take a look at, to check out, and give my honest opinions on. They did not pay me to do this review or anything like that. I've been working with Streamlight for a very long time. They're a great company. I've never ever had an issue with them, and I love that all they want is my honest feedback, and that's exactly what I'm going to try to do in this First Impressions video. The Sidewinder series has been going on for a very long time. They started with a much more traditional, larger setup that was just called the Sidewinder, and that is very common to see in a lot of different military applications. Many of you guys out there that were in the military or are in the military are probably familiar with the Sidewinder series because it's made its way around for sure. They then switched to the Sidewinder Compact 2. I have a review of this on my channel as well. I'll try to throw the card up in the right-hand corner of your screen. This is a great little light. I really like it, and I'm not necessarily doing like a versus or comparison video, but I'm going to be comparing these two lights a lot because I think in order to do this review properly on the Stalk, you have to look at the Compact 2 because they really are kind of the two options that you're going to be looking at from Streamlight for a helmet-mounted light. And that's really what these are designed for. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be a helmet that you're running for night vision. These are infrared capable, but they do have blue, green, red, and white light in this particular model. And in this model, you have white light, blue, red, and also an infrared setting. So again, even if you don't have night vision and you have a helmet like this, or you want a small light to put on your plate carrier or whatever for administrative tasks, you can do that with these lights. Now, when it comes to helmet-mounted lights, there are a lot of different options out there. There are options if you are looking to have a lot of power coming behind the light, and this may not be what you want to go with if you are looking for a powerful light. We'll talk about that in a little bit. There are options out there. This is Streamlight's new offering in the Sidewinder line, which is the Stalk, and it's designed to be a little bit more practical to put on a helmet. It's going to come with a few different ways to mount the light onto the helmet itself. One of the ways that you see a lot of folks going with online is this arc rail section here, and you can simply screw the light into that section just by replacing that screw, and now you have Velcro on this side that can just simply clamp right over the top there, and you have the ability to slide this guy into place and you got your mount. If you want to take it out, you can take it out, no problem. And you have the ability to do that and still get a lot of movement with the direction of where the light is pointed because of this arm here. And that's kind of the new and improved thing of the Stalk. And with the older variation, really the ideal way, in my opinion, to mount it is with the helmet clamp section here, how I have it mounted right now on my helmet, and this keyhole slot on the back. The traditional mounting system, you have some spring-loaded section here that you're just going to simply press into place and then push down, and now you are locked in. And obviously, as you can see, you can turn 360 degrees, you can rotate the light out, And if you want it to come off, you press in, pull up, and the light comes right off. As you can see here, I have left that keyhole mount on the Stalk. It comes this way out of box, so if you want to keep it with that mounting option, you absolutely can. And in my opinion, although it gives you a little bit more of a standoff distance from the helmet, that the arc rail section is definitely going to do a little bit better. It's going to suck it to the helmet a little bit more. This, in my opinion, gives you much more capability with rotating the light. So if you really want it pointed in a certain direction, you can do that. Could you still just bend it in the direction? Yes, you could, but I did find that it is nice to have the movement there, and you would not have that movement with the arc rail section. So it's really just a personal preference. My particular setup came with that mounting solution and then also the helmet clamp mount, which is pretty handy. All it does is just simply clamp onto whatever helmet you have. So that's kind of a nice feature. You don't have to have M-LOK or arc rail or another type of rail on your helmet. You can just have something on your head, and this is going to clamp right onto it, and now you have an attachment point, which I think is pretty handy, and it works out well on my hardhead veterans ballistic helmet here. Now, when I am looking at a helmet mounted light, to me it is more of an administrative item. It's something that if I need to look at my hands, I need it to be a little bit more illuminated, I'm going to crank on that helmet light. If I am at the range and we are doing some night vision shooting and I need to be very cautious about how much white light I'm putting out because somebody, might be looking over my way or whatever, I don't want to damage anyone's night vision, I will typically put my helmet mounted light onto the red light setting, so it's a very low light signature, and I can go and load some mags up quick or do whatever I need to do administrative wise with just a small amount of light. I'm not generally looking at a helmet light to really punch through those photonic barriers, and you really want to have a bunch of candela and a bunch of power. That's just my uses in particular. There are a lot of folks out there that really do need that and want that on their helmet light. I believe this is the very first video on YouTube that I could find that actually shows the Sidewinder Stalk under night vision. You guys are going to be seeing it under the SIONYX AURORA camera, which is going to be a night vision camera, and then also through my White Phos PVS 14. That is a Generation 3, great specs, so that is a very clear picture of what this light would look like under night vision. And I'm not going to lie, guys, getting into how this light performs compared to the Sidewinder Compact 2, you're going to notice a few different things. So the settings on the light are going to be very similar to the Compact 2. You have a rotating dial on the top. Now, both of these lights are going to have an indication here by a raised section as to which part is IR or infrared. That's really nice because if you are in the dark trying to feel for the controls on the light, you'll be able to feel that that is the IR mode. You have the button up here in the front, whereas on the original Compact 2, the button is the dial and you have to lift up to rotate it. When I first threw this on the helmet, just getting immediate first impressions, and I was messing with it in the dark, I will say that it was not as intuitive to try to figure out what I was doing and find the button on the Stalk as it is with the Compact 2. The Compact 2, there's nothing going on up here. It is just the rotating dial and the button. That's all it is. So if you're reaching up at the top, you're going to feel that button and you're going to feel the rotating dial and you're going to feel that section there that's raised for the IR illuminator. So that I really was not a huge fan of right out the gate. Is it the end of the world? No, not at all. And after messing around with it for a little bit, I definitely got used to the dial and the button setup. You have a few different modes here. Obviously, that is the IR mode. On this particular model, they now have an off setting, which is really nice. On the original Compact 2s, there was no way to turn the dial to an off position. So when it is just stowed away, it is going to be on in whatever setting you have it in. So if you accidentally ND the light, which is blue there, that is always a possibility, and it's kind of an issue in certain situations. Over here, you have the ability to push this off so you don't drain the battery, you don't ND the light, and all that's really nice. Of course, you also have a white light setting, and just like the Compact 2, each color mode, including IR, is going to have 3 different brightness settings. You're going to get to those settings by pressing and holding, and that is going to show you the different brightness settings. And then if you turn it off and double click the light, it is going to strobe. It will strobe in all of the different color modes. When it comes to the white light in the Stalk, it's more than fine for a lot of different night vision roles. You're rarely ever going to need that much white light in a night vision setting for administrative tasks, but it does a great job for that. I had no issues with the white light setting. With the difference of the actual bulb of the light and what they have going on here, so there's a little bit of a diffuser on the Stalk that is not on the Compact 2. And this is where my issues come in with the Stalk. So with the Compact 2, with all of the color modes, whether it's white or red, you can see here I'll put the red on, and you have a very defined circle hotspot. There's almost no spill whatsoever. And with the Stalk, you have absolutely no hotspot. It's all spill, and that's designed to give you a little bit more peripheral vision. The problem, though, is that that really cuts down on the perceived power and the output of the light. It's all throw, and it's not really at all concentrated. And that really becomes an issue when we start looking at the IR illuminator that this has. In the filming that you are seeing in the back roll, this is in a completely dark area. There is no ambient light whatsoever. So with no ambient light other than a small IR illuminator that I had in the background to give the camera a little bit of help, it really looks fine. It looks about like the unit, the PVS-14's illuminator. But I gotta tell you guys, I used this on a night hike when there was a good bit of moonlight, and in any situation when there is any amount of ambient light, the illuminator is completely washed out. Even on the highest setting, you cannot see it at all. Whereas on the Sidewinder Compact 2, you can still see the illuminator. It's just like the illuminator on the PVS-14 itself, but it is a little bit more powerful because it's a little bit more concentrated, or at least it seems a little more powerful. That is a huge complaint that I have about the Stalk. It's just, it really leaves a lot to be desired in the overall output on really any of the settings, but the most concerning is the IR setting. It does not give you enough of an illumination. Now, if it was just super dark, no moonlight, no starlight, cloudy night, is that going to give you a little bit for administrative tasks? Probably, but I really see not a lot of use in their IR setting. They have the ability here to give you an IR strobe beacon right in the light. This, I think, is a huge win, and you have the ability to control it here on one side or the other for speed, and it is off in the middle. And surprisingly, the IR strobe is very bright. It is much brighter than the IR illumination output on the actual light itself, which I find kind of interesting. If they use that same brightness and output in the light, I think they would have had a winner. Now, the one thing, again, getting into how intuitive the light was, it was kind of hard for me to find this piece here. Now, I like that they have that. It's really cool that it locks it out and you're not going to ND it by accident, but reaching up and it's trying to find that stop there, especially when it feels similar to the battery compartment lock, that was a little bit of an issue. And I ended up actually having to take the light off and just trying to manipulate it by looking at it because it was that annoying to get to. So that's something else that I think they could make just a little bit more beefed out, a little bit easier to actually get to in the dark. As far as the color modes, this I think is kind of cool. So instead of having to switch on the color mode here, you have just this C indicator. And you have 3 different color modes, red, green, and blue. And in order to get to those different colors, you press 5 times and hold the 5th time, and it is going to cycle through red, green, and blue, and you just simply lift up on whatever color you want it to stay on, and all of the standard color options for brightness and strobe and all those things are going to be the exact same. Green light is rather interesting. I haven't seen green that often in these helmet lights. It was kind of nice. It was a little bit closer to a white light almost, with just how I perceived it and how it was showcasing itself. Red is typically what you want to use for extreme extreme low light signature. And I will say, once again, this is where it becomes an issue, the amount of throw that this light has. With the Compact 2, if I'm on the red light and I have a very, very controlled, small section of throw where it's just that small hot spot right here, I can control that light pretty good to where it's not going to give me any issues. I'm not going to be throwing signatures all over the place, and I love that. And you can really see that even in the pitch black. I can just control the light, I can turn it towards me, I can block it pretty easily for the most part. When it comes to having all throw and no hotspot, it becomes a lot more difficult to actually block this light to where you don't want it to go. It is just going to throw no matter what. It's going to throw that light out all over the place, and that's just kind of what you're going to see with the Stalk. And again, I think that's a little bit of a problem. It's going to operate off of one CR123 battery, so that's relatively standard, and it's a very rugged and durable light with Streamlight quality overall. It feels good, the body looks good, and in my opinion, this looks better on the helmet. And I really love this arm. I think that's a great idea. In comparing just how I like the light, I think it's I hate to say this, but I think it's a little bit of a swing and a miss. This light would be a perfect helmet light if it had the option of just a little bit more power. Nothing crazy, but something to give you the ability to actually see and use the illumination settings. And I also think having this diffuser here in the front is only hurting the light. I think with the ability to have this either removable or have this just a more traditional style bulb in the middle without the diffuser, I think if they make those small changes, the light would be outstanding. That is going to wrap up this first impressions video. If you guys have any other questions about the Stalk, let me know down in the comment section, and you guys know I absolutely will get back to you. And while you're down there, check out that description for all of those links. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, stay tuned for more great content coming soon.